To everyone who has joined us, thank you so much. My name is Jason. I'm with Inhabit Marketing. I'd like to introduce you to Bob Klauser from ePremium and Stuart Cohen from Miller's Mutual, here to talk about how premium and brokers can build your book. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll go ahead and get started.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Jason, for that introduction. Stuart, thank you for joining me here this afternoon to go over a little bit of insights as to how our partnership and other partnerships that we have within the rental space have really evolved over the last few years, in that solutions that ePremium offers has had a lot of interest being displayed for, again, strategic partnerships like Stuart represents today. So just to get started, again, my name is Bob Klauser. I am the SVP of Sales for ePremium. ePremium is basically a rental insurance organization that offers renters insurance, master liability programs, as well as deposit replacement solutions in the multifamily, single family. And we also play in the short-term rental space with our sister organization called Rental Guardian. But again, I'm really excited today to be able to go through some of this with you, which is basically a Q&A session with Stuart, just going through some of the things that we have uncovered as our about 2 year right now, 2 year relationship has evolved, and we found a lot of strategic benefits for what ePremium can provide and how that can benefit the brokerage community. And again, what Stuart is going to help us out today. So with that being said, Stuart, I'll turn it over to you for a little introduction.
Sure. My name is Stuart Cohen. I'm in the agency relations and sales department at Miller's Mutual Insurance. A little bit about Miller's Mutual Insurance. We were founded in 1890, and we focus exclusively on multi-family housing, student housing, affordable housing, which is Section 8 and senior living, and mixed-use real estate. We operate in 8 states and have an in-house brokerage, Riverside Brokerage Services. We are based out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and we're excellent rated with AM Best.
Thank you for that overview. Again, just recapping, and again, there was some more information about ePremium that I can kind of touch on here at the end. But some of the things that really make us unique in the rental space is that we designed this organization to really align with the needs of our client base, right? And that goes from what the resident needs from a coverage standpoint. If it's a lease requirement, obviously we have the renter's insurance that can fulfill that requirement for them, all the way through to, like I said, the liability programs, which acts as a stopgap just in case those residents end up canceling their insurance in the middle of their lease term, obviously being in violation of that lease. But what makes us unique, again, not only the design of what we pulled together to really cater to this industry, but our solution is quite simple, right? Again, we have a proprietary rating system that we use. Again, we can get a quote automatically approved to any renter within about 30 seconds, 5 more minutes after that to have it bound. We don't do any credit checks. We don't do any background checks. We don't do any loss checks. Again, if we are a partner of you, you have full authority to be able to utilize our services accordingly to, again, fulfill those lease requirements. Some of the other areas that we focus on, again, from renter's insurance, you not only want to have your liability coverage, but you also want to give the resident the ability to cover their contents, their belongings. So we do have a sublimit of $95,000 that we can go up to. Again, the resident selects kind of what they need. And then liability coverages, which again has been pretty standard in the industry at about $100,000 for best part of 20 years, but we're now seeing, because of reconstruction cost and just higher prices in general, we have raised our liability limits to cover up to $300,000 now. And then all of our policies are served by the ePremium Insurance Agency. So again, just a little background, a little bit more extensive background about us. But the really kind of meaning of this webinar today is to just do a little Q&A. So with that, Stuart, are we ready to rock and roll?
Let's roll.
All right. So, Stuart, I'm going to put you on the spot. I got about 8, 9 questions. Hopefully, we can get through all of them. Just to give us, again, a little bit of perspective as to how our relationship has come together and how it's really benefited your business as well as your client's business associated. So, my first question for this afternoon: what is the benefit of filing claims with the TLL policy rather than on the commercial policy?
Great question. This is something that we talk about to our agents, investors, and also our property owners. But the smaller claims will be handled by the Tenant Legal Liability Program or policy, which will prevent the claim from being reported to CLUE and the claim not being used as part of the commercial policy renewal process. So you kind of think about that in a nutshell, that all the small claims are being handled directly through e-premium, and the bigger ones will just follow through. Also, the named insured on the policy is the actual landlord or the tenant. So they get the pot of the money where they can go ahead and run higher deductible policies if they like to do that to save money.
So yeah, to expand upon that a little bit, again, nuisance claims obviously are the most consistent that we see coming from our clients. And what would a nuisance claim be? Pet damage, maybe bed bug remediation, maybe there's a burn on the carpet that was caused by the resident. But all those things can be thrown off on the TLL or master liability policy. Thus, again, to Stuart's point, insulating anything even getting close to where your HAB would kick in and enabling you to be able to look at, those deductibles, because we are covering up to 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 in liability damage. So again, just different ways, different perspectives to look at that. All right, next question. Would offering this kind of program help differentiate you from other brokers in the multifamily space?
Most definitely. Miller's Mutual, as you said earlier, is one of the first carriers to offer this type of product, working with ePremium. Our program can be used with either Miller's products or other carriers' products through our brokerage. Once you do that, you make yourself different from the competition out there by adding these different types of components as part of a retention program for you and your policy.
Perfect. Okay, Jason? All right. Moving on to our next question. Do carriers take a tenant liability or renter's insurance program into account when underwriting an apartment building?
So today, more so than any other times, carriers are requiring all tenants to carry renter's insurance for all apartments and dwellings and exposures. But most of the time, these policies are canceled within the first 3 months, and it's used to get into an apartment. So people in the marketplace right now, the apartment or dwelling renter might say, we want insurance within that first 30 to 90 days, they might cancel that HO4 policy, where this particular program puts it in place as long as they reside in that dwelling or apartment.
Yeah, the nice thing about having a program like this in place is that you are never uncovered, right? So again, the way ePremium is structured, and let's just play it out as an example. The resident shows up, there's a lease requirement to carry insurance. That resident can provide proof of coverage from somebody that they already have, or they could purchase policy directly from ePremium. Once that policy, whether it's coming from a third party or ePremium, is submitted, it'll go through a review process internally by service provided by ePremium to make sure it conforms to the lease. Once we approve it, then we endorse that policy. So that way it is in effect and we are standing behind that. Again, it fits all the requirements. Once the resident moves in, to Stuart's point, if in fact they would cancel, let's say 2 or 3 months in, obviously they're in violation of the lease, at which time we will automatically force place that resident into the master liability policy, thus having the same coverage that they had from a liability standpoint, the renter's insurance. And then that will stay in place until such time that the resident re-uploads a new policy from the third party or purchases once again from ePremium. Then we deactivate the master policy, also removing any charges that we would pushing through our integrations, which we have deep integrations with all the industry PMSs or property management software solutions. We deactivate it, the charge comes down, now they're back in compliance, and then we continue to track and monitor until such time that the lease expires. Okay, so really it takes between what we're doing here and what you can provide for your broker as proof of coverage 100% of the time. We are providing a seamless solution that is hands off. Nobody has to worry about it. We're taking all of the burden off of you and your staff to be able to make sure, again, insurance is always in place while the resident is there. Okay, all right, next question. Do carriers give credit or reduce premiums for properties with a mandatory renter's insurance program in place?
At Miller's Mutual, we do get preferred pricing whenever a program like this is put in place. You have a choice of either 100, 200, or 300,000 as a layer to go ahead and cover that risk. And again, with this particular program, as you just said, Bob, we know that each individual resident will have continuous coverage for that particular layer if there is a claim.
And Stuart, again, you've used this now a couple times with different programs that we have set up with your organization. Has the process from working with ePremium been pretty seamless in making sure that we're providing you the reporting or anything that you need to be able
We
to show
create
the coverage?
Yes, we create a process where we bring on the actual insurance agent as well as the investor or property owner and explain all the different product offerings that they have. And it's amazing when you go ahead and do different types of examples of, say, bed bugs or dog bites or those type of coverages that they say, hey, there is a need behind the need, and they go ahead and purchase more.
Yeah. It's kind of surprising you bring up, again, I mentioned the nuisance claims a little bit earlier. Our number one claim, shockingly enough, is pet damage, which has an average claim value of about $460. Again, and those happen quite frequently, right? Even if the resident admits they have a pet or not, they move out, you have your maintenance team, your leasing staff go walk the unit, and oh, surprise, Bob had a dog. Right. And now there's damage to the carpet. There's damage to the molding for some reason. And for us, that's again a submittable claim up to a $1,000 sub limit that we have built into the policy on the master and 500 on the HO4. So again, there's a lot of different benefits that you gain from putting these things in place. All right, let's see here, Stuart. Renter's insurance is often seen as a small ticket item. Why would a broker look at this as a real growth opportunity for their business today?
So what we've been explaining to our agents that this is a better retention tool for them, for the landlord as well as the investor. Plus, this product isn't commissionable. So even going ahead and creating another part of this whole entire presentation and as another moving part with insurance, this kind of creates an opportunity. And as you said earlier, Bob, people are kind of looking for other things. So with the dog nuisance type coverage where you had claims with that, or you had your people go in and remove carpeting or do different things, they kind of think about that and say, this is very inexpensive. The actual customer pays for this as part of the monthly fee. So it kind of makes sense. So again, it's trying to create a program to them that they never heard before.
Again, renter's insurance, it is a small ticket item, right? An average renter's insurance policy for a calendar year will probably run about $220, right? So it's nowhere near the premium that's associated with other policies. But again, with the way that it is structured for us and everyone being approved, right? The volume that we see coming out of renter's insurance, I mean, we're tipping over 2 million policies in place right now as an organization, which is pretty substantial. And apparently I'm losing my power in my room. Pretty substantial when you look at it in the grander scheme of things. All right. Hopefully the power stays on. We'll see. Let's see. The next question. How can offering renter's insurance help brokers strengthen relationships with property managers or real estate partners and increase client retention?
So a really neat thing is the property software that individual property managers have talks directly to ePremium software. So it kind of makes it a seamless experience for them. Plus, it's another income stream. We are seeing a lot of the actual investors and landlords charging more money as a service fee on top of this, and they have a positive cash flow that's coming right into their business. And in today's society of saving nickels and dimes, it does add up over a course of a year per unit.
Apparently I lost power again. Anyway, first time for this on a webinar. It happens. To your point, Stuart, it threw me off a little bit. To your point, Stuart, some of the programs that we have, we can custom create for the management company or ownership entity that we are partnering with. Again, in these scenarios, the management company or owner is going to offer the solution to the future tenant as an option to fulfill the insurance requirements. By offering it as a waiver, right, we're obviously going to have the management company as the named insured. They're allowing the resident to participate in their policy. And obviously, we're going to charge them for any resident that selects that policy for coverage. With that, we are billing the management company or owner, and then the owner management company is deciding if they want to create any additional margin on top of it to charge the resident on a monthly basis. So again, that's just one construct of a program that we have seen being used a little bit more frequently today. But again, for us, we can really custom create a program that really fits the needs of your clients or management company or owner, tailored to what they feel their risk mitigation strategy should look like, plus the ancillary revenue that they would like to see accompanying it. All right, hopefully the lights stay on now. What is the number one way that e-premium can bring value to brokers?
So a lot of thought went into this question. We've sold a lot of these programs, and listening to the need behind the need from our brokers, it kind of creates another layer of coverage for tenant negligence, which they can utilize for small claims with a zero deductible. And another great way that you can go ahead and create a program for your investors and property owners if they decide to sell their property. Because again, looking at it in a different perspective, that you are selling a property that is running and everything's in place for them. It's as simple as once they sell the property, this particular program can continue with the residents that are in their base, what's in the lease.
All right. Moving along here, we're doing pretty good on time. Does having a renter's insurance program in place help reduce costs for your clients on the commercial or habitational policy?
With this question, it's definitely a yes. The smaller claims are not factored into underwriting since they're not reported to Clue. Plus, the named insured is the property owner and investor, and that's the person that is the named beneficiary. Another cost and time savings feature is that there is no need anymore for an employee to police tenant insurance since everyone would be on this program. So, as we said earlier about individuals that get policies for 1 to 3 months and then cancel it, this is a way that you don't need someone on a daily basis monitoring this type of program. So it's all seamless.
Yeah, I'd mentioned the integrations before. The integrations for us is probably one of our biggest claims to fame, right? Usually in the property management multifamily space, there are one of, let's say, 6 or 7 different management software solutions. And when they are in place, because of the extra legwork that we did in establishing the program originally, going back into 2007, we were able to work directly with these providers and make sure that the data back and forth that needs to be exchanged is always firing correctly. And from that, then, like I said, it alleviates a lot of the burden from a human capital standpoint to stay on top of the insurance, right? Let us take that workload off of you and make it as seamless as possible. All right, Stuart. Well, again, we were right on track. We wanted to get through our Q&A here in the first 20 minutes of the call, and we can kind of open it up for a little Q&A here as we close. But just really some areas that, again, from a premium standpoint, and full service provider, really easy to work with. Again, 20 years almost of experience in doing this, which we have, again, a lot of great partners in the space that have, again, been with us for years. But for us, again, it comes down to just keeping it very easy to work with. Again, claims process is easy. Again, we have those higher liability limits now. We have new deposit solutions and a rent guarantee program that are going to be launched as we move into 26. We are exploring different captive options, since that is something in the multifamily space that's starting to show up a little bit more often as clients and partners consider their options from an insurance standpoint. We will have coming out to a contents only program for those residents if they decide to maybe use a waiver that's coming from the management company. And if they still want to get their belongings covered, we'll have some unique solutions that are coming out in Q1 to be able to offer. And again, we are working, since we are in the rental industry, and we have a heavy focus on multifamily, but we are expanding very quickly into the single family rental space. We're working diligently on establishing those deep integrations with those partners as well, so that way we can service as much of that marketplace as we can. Okay. All right. So with that being said, this is Stuart and I's contact information. Is if there is anything that, again, we could independently help you out with, Stuart, obviously from his representation of Miller's Mutual, and then mine from the representation of ePremium. Our contact information is here. And then again, we'll open it up here for a couple minutes to field any questions that you may have. So Jason, I think you might have been taking a peek at the chats or questions that came through.
Sure. If you have a question, please drop it in the chat. We've got 3 so far. Randy he says he's somewhat confused. Is this product bypassing the agency resource offering individual insurance needs? It appears that this will be offered by ePremium directly to apartment management resources instead of agency sources.
Yeah, so this can exist in 2 different capacities. And again, I'd be happy on this question to take it offline. So that way, again, it's a little bit more detailed of a response, but we can structure this in a variety of different ways, right? The way that we partner with Miller's Mutual today is that if Stewart has a client of theirs or within their network that is in the market for a solution to cover, again, the renter's insurance or master liability for the resident, they will reach out to us. We will coordinate a call, a meeting with the client, and we'll provide the overview of the solution for their clients to consider, right? And then from that, as Stuart articulated, he goes through and evaluates, if they do put it in place, what other benefits are coming with that from the part of the business that they manage on behalf of that same client, right? So again, that's just kind of a general overview of how we have our structure today with Miller's Mutual. But again, there's a lot of different ways that we could stitch this together for anybody who's interested in talking.
Mark wonders, would we consider increasing the personal property limits above 95,000?
Yeah, great question. This is an area that we're constantly reviewing what our coverage options and limits need to be set at. We are going through a transitionary period now of evaluating what that looks like as we move into 26. I can say very confidently that I know the liability piece, especially as we get into single family homes a little bit more. They're asking for $500,000 liability limits on both the renter's insurance and waiver programs. We don't have that out into the marketplace yet, but that will be something that is coming down the pike as we move into 26. Likewise, with the contents piece, as well as additional endorsements, right? We're always evaluating where there's potential risk points associated with a tenant in a community or in a home. We'll bring in additional endorsements, just like we did a couple years ago with pet damage and the bed bug remediation. We now have biohazard in place. We have animal liability protections. We have loss of rental income protection. So again, we really go through a consultative approach with all of our clients and stitch together what makes sense for their specific condition, because clearly not one size fits all.
Connor wants to know, would this program work for manufactured home communities as well?
Yeah, as long as the structure is being rented. We get the same question, for mobile home communities and different living situations, that it works if the structure is being rented by the tenant, right? What we can't set up is, again, this came from the mobile home discussion. If you're just renting the land, right? In that case, these insurance programs wouldn't apply. There's actually have to be a structure, like I said, that is on the lease that the tenant is renting.
Todd was wondering, does the agent get lists of policies in place? These could be good leads for writing auto insurance or when they move out, and maybe be able to write a future homeowners package.
Yep.
I can answer
Stuart,
that.
if you could take that one first.
Yeah, you can just reach out to me. I can give you an in-force list that you can go ahead and contact your customers.
We set up a lot of, again, the reporting is one of our claim to fames, as well as our account management structure. Any client of ours has a dedicated individual who's licensed, who is there for support with any type of reporting that is needed, whether it's coming from the client, whether it's a strategic partner like Stewart. We have, again, more reports than you could even imagine, and we can, again, custom create them to fit your specific need.
And we did have a couple in the Q&A that I think you could, Bob and Stuart, both could answer offline. Would you two mind sharing your contact information one more time?
Yeah, Jason, you want to just put back up the slide?
Yeah,
if you have
just
it
1
handy?
second.
And then I'll drop in also, again, I don't know if you want to, but I can provide my phone number in the chat if anybody wants to just reach out for a conversation. This is the on here. Second, there we go. And then if anybody would like to talk to me there, Stuart as well. Thank you, Stuart, for doing that. But yeah, again, our email address is here. Again, obviously LinkedIn, please feel free to find my profile and connect with me that way. Same thing with Stuart, or you can drop us a call here on the numbers that we have provided in the chat.
Okay, we still have a couple minutes left. Let me see if we have another question.
Let me just add, we can work with either Miller's Mutual products or any other product. So if you have an insured that is insured with, I'm just going to pick Liberty Mutual or Erie or State Auto. It doesn't matter which company it is, we're able to work with you all.
Kelly Leaf asked in the Q&A, it seems like this is really intended for large commercial apartment complex building owners, but Bob, as you said, it's not necessarily just for the large commercial.
Yeah, again, we run the gamut on client size. We have some clients that have 70, 80, 90 million units in their portfolio. We have other clients that have 20, right? So again, it really depends. And that's where just, if there is interest, please email me. I'm just happy to give you the, 5, 10, 15-minute overview. But really, we run the gamut. And as I mentioned on the front end, we also cater into the vacation space now as well with our Rental Guardian sister company, which offers travel insurance, damage protection, and a new product called Booking Protection, which protects the revenue or the earnings for the manager and the owner, just in case that vacation rental is canceled by the guest. So yeah, we got a lot of solutions, hands down.
And I'm putting those numbers back in the chat one more time. As a couple of you said that you couldn't see them, I'm sharing that right now. So hopefully everyone can see those now. If you can't, please let me know. We have a couple of minutes left. Let me take a look here and see if we have another question. Kenneth, yes, this is being recorded. We will make sure that we share this out later on. This will be available on demand, so be sure to check your email box. If you signed up for this, you will be getting a follow-up email with a link to watch this again. I think that's all of our questions. Once again, Stuart, Bob, thanks for your time.
Yeah.
If you want to give some closing thoughts here.
Yeah, thank you again. Big Stuart, can't thank you enough, sir, for, not only the partnership that we have enjoyed now for, over 2 years, but also joining me this afternoon to give a little bit of insight as to how this all works and some of the benefits. So thank you very much, sir. I'll turn it over to you for some closing remarks.
Same thing here. Thank you for everyone attending today. I think you got a lot out of this. The main reason why we did this is to create more dialogue. So if anybody has any questions, please reach out to either Bob or myself, and we'll try to help you and your clients with a successful conversation.
Thank you very much, everyone. We appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your afternoons.
Yep.
Bye now.
Very much. See you.